We usually say there is no smoke without fire, which is absolutely true, because smoke is either because a fire is just about to start or a fire is just about to be put off, But in this specific case, you couldn't, wonder but realize that since the DOJ and the SEC started, the whole block trade probe investigation, we are hearing, kind of interesting news from different banks that are involved directly or indirectly, one way or another. And the latest on that list is no one but Goldman Sachs. Goldman Sachs, one of the biggest investment banks here in the US and in the world. This is a company that moves a lot of money, all right? And we just heard this morning, literally, that they are cutting ties with block trading hedge funds Islet without saying why, without anybody knowing why. But it raises a lot of questions. But because, well, if you don't want to comment and we don't know exactly why all of a sudden you decide to pull out, because there's no smoke without fire, what started this whole fire is precisely what the DOJ is about to find out, or has already find out. Nobody knows, but let's just get into the details of what exactly is going on here with Goldman Sachs. Well, as US investigators scrutinize how banks and hedge funds trade large blocks of stock, Goldman Sachs Group Inc. is pulling back from at least one money manager whose communications have drawn interest from authorities. Here it is, according to people with knowledge of the matter. It's really funny, folks. Let's read it again for 1 second. Goldman Sachs is pulling back from at least one money manager whose communications have drawn interest from authorities. The investment bank is cutting business ties with Joseph Samuel's Islet management. The people said, asking not to be identified, discussing private dealings. I wonder why. The reason for the decision and whether it relates to the investigation couldn't immediately be determined. Well, it's kind of already determined, folks. Neither Goldman nor Islet have been accused of any wrongdoing in the inquiry touching a wide range of firms. So why are we starting all of a sudden across the board? Goldman Sachs, Morgan Stanley, Credit Suisse. Yesterday we heard news that Credit Suisse was actually caught in the midst of shredding documents in relation with what is happening in Russia sanctions. Folks, these kind of events, these kind of situations doesn't just happen overnight all of a sudden. It's precisely because what the DOJ and the SEC may already be touching or already be in the brink of finding will incriminate these folks. So if there is no wrongdoing in the inquiry so far on bunch of companies in Wall Street, why are they already starting to make moves ahead of even investigation being over? Sounds to me like they are already putting a target on the back. I'm just saying. Let's move forward. It's not clear how much business Goldman Sachs does with Islet. The hedge fund listed its prime brokers as Morgan Stanley, JP Morgan Chase, and Bank of America Corp. Merrill Lynch. In July regulatory filing with the SEC. That was back in July. It also couldn't be determined whether Goldman has recently cut off business with any other hedge funds. If it's not if it's not already done, my assumption is as these guys continue to, progress aggressively into these investigations, well, maybe they will start cutting some businesses with other people. I don't know. Again, I am just saying. New York-based Goldman Sachs is one of the dominant banks in bringing block trades to the market, as well as new issue on follow-on stock offerings. Yes, folks, here we are. Why does it have to do with AMC? Well, it has to do with everything and anything. Why? Because block trades, as I mentioned to you many times now since this whole thing started, block trades is pretty much buying stocks in large quantities. And that's how big companies moving a lot of money on stocks and shares, whether they want to buy or sell, usually do. And that's precisely one of the main reasons why dark pools were created, all right? Not to affect the share price of a stock if maybe a player on the market is selling 10 million shares, for example, all right? But the hedge funds and a bunch of other companies started abusing the number one use of dark pools. And block trades are definitely one of the main ways they are using to short sell to oblivion AMC stock. So the DOJ investigation didn't start just, it wasn't pulled out of thin air. It started precisely because this is one of the main reasons why the stock is not doing what it's supposed to do. And this is also part of the whole short selling investigation across the board, because this caused a major chaos and danger to the market. All right. So let's just realize and visualize this. If there is no more ability to actually, for these guys, as they're cutting, ties with other businesses and liquidity providers and what we call prime brokers, it means the amount of volume using block trades, especially on the short sell aspect of things, as we get into, it's already March 3rd now. I didn't even realize. So we can expect to see exactly these kind of things continue to be, popping in the news in the next coming weeks. Again, I believe if they're already making such moves and the investigation is not even closed yet, nobody's incriminating them, but I think by what they're doing, they're kind of doing that by themselves and putting a target on the back. So expect them to start slowing down a little bit, because nobody wants to get caught with wrongdoing, because it's bad business. If you lose clients, it means you're losing money. If you lose money, it means your share price tanks. If your share price tanks, it means, less money for shareholders, which ultimately it's not good for anybody. Employees, the CEOs, the partners, the clients, the business partners, etc., etc. So this whole massive cleanup from the SEC and the DOJ is definitely bringing significant progress, and we can definitely expect, to start holding our breath on this stuff, because if there is no more short selling or no more abusive short selling using synthetics and naked shorts, what is remaining? What is there again to prevent AMC from shooting to the roof? Nothing. So that's the whole game. That's the bottom line, folks.